All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the channel. Today's Casual Wednesday. So, Sheila Neal, good morning. How are you doing? It looks like you got a question down there. So, if we get started, my name is Jay. I am the owner of Section8Consulting.com. And today, we're going to do a quick live video because we're going to be making some changes. And for those of you that have questions about Section 8 housing, you found the right person. I have wasted 26 years of my life trying to help low income people achieve housing and vouchers and subsidies. And it's benefited a lot of Americans, I think, especially through the pandemic. Um, and I was just joking. I haven't wasted my life. It sometimes feels difficult, to deal in this arena. So today I want to go over some changes to the channel where you guys kind of think about the questions you'd like to ask. YouTube has changed a lot since I started 15 years ago. I produced over 2,000 videos so far. It's a lot. And, the ever changing landscape of YouTube makes it extremely hard. YouTube wants more entertainment and this and that. I've tried a wide variety of things. So I'm going to take the channel back to its core and we're going to go back to evergreen topics. Evergreen meaning that I'm going to answer all those how do you videos and how to get and how to do this and that, because that seems to be what you guys enjoy. Honestly, I'm sick of the news because it's always negative. We're living through one of the toughest administrations that has ever existed in terms of Section 8 housing. I mean, everything on the internet is just sad, 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 And I'm not speaking for or against Donald Trump. I'm just suggesting that these are just shit times when it comes to housing. And, when you own a company that deals specifically with Section 8 housing, and you're as well known as I am, it's difficult. It's hard to come to work, and then I got YouTube on my ass. They want me to make entertainment, well, what am I going to do in the video? Am I going to start performing circus tricks? I don't know what else to do to really help people. And, and then we move into a generation of low focus people. We want every answer in a minute flat. Look, there's no contrived way that I can deliver any meaningful example or solve any problem in a video in a short video. 60 seconds. Are you kidding me? Even people with ADD couldn't do that. Okay, though I should probably hire a few to work in my office. And many of my clients do have that functionality about them, and that'd be great. So I might be hiring people that have attention deficit disorder to work in my YouTube channel because YouTube is trying to force me in the corner here. So, anyways, I hope you enjoy that. Let me look and see who's comment here. I'll see we got a few people showing up. Charity Man, good morning to you, and Prisky Mix, far from it. And what a service. Karen knows cats and emojis. I got a Kiki here. She's actually just outside the screen. And she's been a naughty girl as usual. She got into chicken feed, and so I've got about 10 pounds of corn all over the house because she decided she wanted to play in the chicken feed. And you're probably wondering why in the world does this guy have chicken feed, right? Why are we discussing that? Well, I now record videos from my home, and I've got wild chickens that live in the country. I got about 20 of them that come in the yard. Chickens they can climb fences and they come in your yard. When you mow the next day, it's guarantee. And everybody in the neighborhood thought it would be cute to buy chickens. The problem with it is once they get loose, they can procreate at an unimaginable level. So I get it for 30 chickens. And each batch of 30 has a rooster. And the rooster sits by the back porch and he cock-a-doodle-doos till you'll die and roll out of bed and feed his ass. So I wrapped myself into feeding a damn rooster at sunup every day because I thought it'd be cute to buy a little chicken food. Boy, boy, boy. And then, of course, now the herd of chickens is laying eggs under my porch, which is good because I no longer need to pay the grocery store. I can just simply reach under my porch, and I have a selection of both brown and white eggs all over the place, along with chicklets. And so I'm running a farm more than I am a company. All right. Anyways, rising. How to verify PHA has been converted to RAD. Well, I would tell you that, first, besides just contacting them, their administrative plan, or you could do a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act, and just ask if they have, for verification. Polly, Are pro going base to be okay? That's an unusual comment there, Paula. Are pro base going to be defunded? I'm not quite sure what you're referencing. Could you type a little slower there and give me a little bit more information? Ralph Angel, can you get a homestead property with Section 8? Well, Section 8 does require a few things under home ownership program, the HUD home ownership program. And, after you go through the classes that they require, underwriting, loan approvals, and meeting the requirements, then you can buy whatever you wish, as long as it's within the range that's being afforded to by both the underwriter and it meets the requirements of the HUD home ownership. You can buy any damn thing you want. So I don't see objectively why you couldn't. Marilyn Jones, is it true you can buy a newly built home with NACA program? Let's make a few distinctions, guys. NACA is a completely different agency. It is not a federal agency. It is also a whole loan solution, meaning that that agency that has largely served the African American community in its inception, but now serves the wider and broader market. They don't have anything to do with HUD. Okay, they're not going to. If they sell you a home, you go through their classes in NACA. It does not work with HUD home ownership. They're not going to pay a portion of your mortgage. The only way you're going to get the U.S. government or the housing authority to kick in money for free on your mortgage would be through HUD homeownership. NACA does not work with that. Okay, you would be working with them and their loan requirements. And to be frank with you, they're struggling like everybody else right now. And so a lot of the loans are offering people you can't find anything in the market for what's being offered. I mean, I've had clients call me. They've had loan offers as low as 150,000. What exactly are you going to buy with that? Unless you live in the Delta of Mississippi or the Ozarks. I'm just being honest, right? So we're living in it's a difficult time. I know that because I had to make a bologna, not a bologna sandwich, a ham sandwich the other night. Things are tough for everybody. I don't give a damn if you own a company or not. Everybody's thinking about how they spend money or don't want to. And so that comes also to home loans. I'm no longer in the market for a home. So all right, moving on back. Frisky Mix, YT is well established for instructional and tutorial content, shorts or recent development. Well, my channel, I've had to learn. Okay. I'm like most men. I have done things the way I've wanted to do it most of the time in my life, and it's worked out pretty favorably. But here's the deal, as we reach further in the future, my best thinking doesn't get it anymore. I don't understand YouTube the way that I thought it did. YouTube was a much simpler platform to make videos on just 10 years ago. Now there's a lot to be considered, and I do make short videos, but they're not that great. To be honest with you, I look at it, they're a great way to extend to your primary videos. But you're right, evergreen content about answering questions was the core of this channel about 10 years ago. I got lazy and switched over to a lot of live videos, and so I enjoy lives because I can be quite original in them, and I can answer questions off the cuff, and I'm comfortable with that. Where a lot of people are not. They like doing pre-recorded videos because they can edit out every error they make. I've never had a problem with a live video. You could put me on the 50-yard line and during the Super Bowl, and I would not have an issue picking up my microphone and talking to everybody. Not everybody on YouTube's equipped that way. But you know what? You're right. In order for people to get the answers they want, it requires me to make these damn pre-recorded videos, upload them, and then all this other stuff. But yeah, you're right, and that's exactly about 70% of what I'm going to do is we're going to do pre-recorded videos on how to everything Section 8 again, like we used to. And then about 10% is going to be live videos, probably on Sunday, because it's a popular time. And the other 10% will likely be news stories. I've tried doing all news. They spike, do well, and then they die within 3 days. So live videos aren't what they used to be anymore. They were wonderful 7 years ago, and I've been riding the lazy train for about a half a decade. YouTube's indicated it doesn't really care for that as much anymore. So there goes the live videos, right? Except for Sundays. Moving on back, Mary Jones. Is it true you can buy a newly built home in NACA? Okay, so we answered that. Prisky Mix, we answered that one. Kara knows. Thank you for the Kiki emojis, Prisky Mix. You and your Kiki stories. Oh, we have lots of Kiki stories. If I can roll you back in time one fateful day when it was dark early in the morning and the cats were not appreciating my company as much. And one of them took a boo boo in my flip flop, and you couldn't, I couldn't see well, didn't have my glasses on, so I slipped my foot in the flip flop, and I did a damn banana split in my kitchen at sunrise, and it was not a fun thing. I ended up injuring certain parts of my manhood, and almost cracked my head on the linoleum, and so it was not a cheerful moment for me, and that's, when your cats show that kind of disdain to take a boo boo in your damn shoe, it reminds me of the old story of Sally and the flip flop, and I'll bring that up at a later date. So, anyways, I guess y'all do really do miss those old stories, huh? Karen knows, right on, Jay. Ralph Angel, okay. Well, thank you for the okay. Thank you for the public approval. Sheila Neal, good morning, Jay. Question: what is going on with the Miami, Florida? There is no Section 8 application opening yet. Do you hear any information? It has been a slow descent straight to hell with vouchers this year, and it's been escalating. Uh, of course, we already know lack of funding. We also know all the changes across the market, and it appears that vouchers really have just kind of dried up. The government's instruction on that, as I mentioned about a video or two ago, is currently the government's position, including Congress and the president, is they're not looking for any further expansion of vouchers. They're willing to kick in money to support whoever's got them, and they're not looking to hand out anything additional. That doesn't come from my mouth, not the opinion of a Google algorithm. That comes directly from your U.S. government. They don't want to fund anything additional. If you look back at the budgets, we lost an additional 13% this year, and we lost another 8% the prior year. So we've lost up to 20% of funding over a 2-year period, and it's going to continue that way. So that's the policies that they've laid out. So the market remains extremely stubborn in that market, and so there aren't going to be a lot of vouchers, if any. And big markets like Miami, where if you look at the city of Miami and surrounding cities, nearly a quarter of the population applied when they did open. That's pretty serious. No city should have more than probably 6 to 8% of its population apply for a housing choice voucher. Miami set new records at nearly a quarter. I'm not joking. 25% of that city. So you see, there's a real problem there more than other places. I hope that answered the question. Rising 916, and it goes on to say when suing in small claims for code enforcement documentation habitability issue, am I suing the PHA lady through the office of the complex? Well, let's be clear about that. I don't have enough information to go to base that on. Okay, if you have an issue, with habitability, there is a procedural line of things you need to do, including first giving fair notice to both property and PHA. Second to that, informal hearings. Third to that, federal filings, depending on the violation itself. And then if all three of those doors have been closed and you've acted in good faith up to that point, then you could potentially file at small claims or file a suit, right? At that point. But if you skip any of the steps, it's a lot like being a Walmart employee. If you decide you're going to go complain to the CEO without going through all the upper management, then the court will just throw it out. Okay. So procedurally, you need to figure out what you need to do there. If you don't know, then I would advise reaching out to my office, because there's one thing that my office has been quite heavy-handed with, and that is the involvement in legal actions and PHAs and private landlords. Though I'm not an attorney, I'm well practiced enough in federal law and have witnessed and testified more times than probably any human ever should have in terms of Section 8 and housing clients. Ralph Angel, I received SSI. Well, that sounds exciting. Congratulations. I'm not quite sure what the intent behind the notice of that was for, but thank you. Karen knows. Thank you for the emojis. Frisky Mix lives are best. Lives are the best. Please keep them to some degree. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. If you could reiterate. Muskogee Land will schedule an appointment for home ownership when I return in August. Well, I look forward to it. We have a lot to discuss. Home ownership, HUD home ownership, which many of you call Section 8 home ownership, and many other things. There's a lot to that, and there's a lot of mistakes you can make. It's better to travel the short road than to learn the hard way, because, though the housing authority and the U.S. government offer these programs, they've never said they were going to make it simple or easy to navigate. And so there's always a long road and a short road with things. When you've been tried and tested, you can always take the short road. Otherwise, it's going to be a long ride. There's lots of people that have taken home ownership, got all the way through it, and got absolutely nothing out of it. Okay. Reason is they don't know how to exercise their federal rights. And that's where a lot of you guys fail. Google and AI ain't going to teach you about that. They're going to give you AI will give you the coloring book. It isn't practice, it isn't experience, and it pulls nonsense from all over the internet and then rephrases it with the hope of delivering some type of prophetic answer. But I can tell you that AI is not the answer for most of what Section 8 is as a program. I've seen the answers it gives, and more frequently than not, it references my videos. I've made such a large library that I would say AI continuously uses about 40% of the videos and information I've ever put out over 20 years. So if that's the source, this total source base of where it's getting its answers is referring me back, cannibalizing me, and then feeding me answers from me, then we're all in trouble, right? Though I believe my information to be very accurate, AI is not the smartest cookie with this. It's great with a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. I use it for a lot of things. I got accused the other day for giving a response to my insurance company. They sent me an AI response. I AI'd their ass right back. We can fight fire with fire, right? They didn't like that. Are you using GDP chat? I said, I'm using the same thing you're using, asshole. Rising. When requesting agreements, how long should it take for them to have an hearing? Well, look, federal government provides a minimum of 10 days and a maximum of 4 days, 14 days. If you not received the response from them, then you need to give a second good faith notice. And then you should state that this is my second attempt, and then you should set out a timeline. I'm requesting a response under federal limits of 10 to 14 days. If I don't hear from you after the second time, then I'll have no other choice than to raise the issue at the federal level and then get intervention through HUD, OIG, or fair housing. Okay. You don't need to make them privy to your plans either. Okay. That would be a poor idea because in house counsel, if they have any, or an attorney, may be preparing a little bit against you. Okay. So never tip your hand. Frisky Mix, referring to enjoying the live broadcast. I like my live broadcast. Who else can do that? I can literally wake up in the morning, get right on here, and I don't need to do hair, lipstick, none of that. I don't need to be Barbara Walters. I can get on here and I can talk like in the wind. I've never struggled with that. Okay. Sometimes I'm preaching, sometimes I'm teaching, but I've always enjoyed live. Where I struggle is trying to pre-record because then it makes you super neurotic. I've tried to make pre-records and you want your start to be really perfect. So you spend like 2 hours redoing it. You waste so much of your life with pre-record. But that's what YouTube wants for evergreen to rank it well. And if that's what I've got to do to give you guys extremely specific answers to very specific subject matters, then I guess that's what it is. But we will lose our ability to be live and answer questions live. Mary Jones, thank you for the information and God bless you. And thank you for being truthful. I'm no shortage of truthfulness. Sometimes it actually burns me in my own videos. I say things that are naughty. Joseph, 3 years I've been waiting on HUD to pay out rent, and now it looks like I haven't been paying. We pay our portion, never miss. Well, you need to make reparations fairly quick, or at least give a notice to the PHA as to why you're late or what's going on. Okay, if you're, it's hard to say because I've only got a one, two sentences there to kind of explain what's happening to you and what may be the potential cause. If you're still struggling with this, I'd say reach out to my office. I'll offer appointments. They're inexpensive, but here's the deal: if you continue to ride that little train you're on right now, where you remain in a deficit, you also ultimately put yourself up for termination, and then you could get barred from the system. And so the outcome of this can be very bad if nothing's done or if it's not done properly. I'm not trying to scare you, brother. I'm just saying that the federal government leaves little latitude in its policies, rules, and procedures people that do not cooperate or meet the federal standard and remain under HAP contract. Okay. So this ain't second chance checking. They're not going to fuck around. Okay. Just be clear about that. Karen knows, never tip your hand. Of course. Thank you. Rising. Okay, cool. Thank you. Well, you're most welcome. Karen knows these are organic limes, Jay. I know it. Anybody see my new sign? I went through all this trouble and then I realized that anybody that watches my videos on mobile couldn't see the sign, right? Which is like half my audience. So I'm afraid that my efforts have failed completely, even with the sign in my video. You see all that trouble I went through? Because most of you are going to watch it on your phone. And so you can't even see the sign, right? It's just a blur. Anyways, you want to learn about a company, what I do, and so forth, you can find linkage down below. I offer a wild number of services that are extremely affordable, consider most people are fixed income or even no income. And so I've been here a long time, with 15, 16 years on YouTube, 26 at the federal level. And today's Casual Wednesday, so no suit, tie, or bow. Cali Coaching Guru. I love to have gurus. Received an accommodation for 3 bedroom ADA for my child. Okay. They never help move me from 2 bedroom. Now she's 19, still at the same place. We also had continuous black mold. Well, it seems like you got a couple of separate issues here. Um, if you receive a 3 bedroom accommodation, then it seems that they need to be put on notice or a request for notice there or informal hearing to allow you to transition from one home to 2 bedroom home to a 3 bedroom, which means that will allow you some search time to safely do so. If you're dealing with issues of quality of life or habitation with mold, then there's some procedural steps you'd want to take to test for that. Okay. And then put the property on notice as well as the PHA, unless the PHA or Public Housing Authority owns it. Okay. And so I think one could feed into the other in terms of showing that there's imminent cost to move as well. But I only have a portion of your story here, and so I don't want to lean too far into that without knowing more. So if you want to reach out to my office, I'd be happy to kind of discuss that and see what kind of remedies are in place to help you out. Okay. Cali Coaching Guru, Housing Authority Health Department even says if you don't like living standards, move. Well, they say lots of things. I've had housing authorities curse, steal, rob. How many have been indicted at the federal level? So that's not unsurprising. They say something shitty. You should view the housing authority as no different than the local labor hall. Okay. Just because they have the word authority in there does not mean that there's any authority. Housing authorities are privately owned, city owned. They're not federal employees. They have no direct connection to HUD, the federal agency. They operate as at will and with little governance, except for now because the administration presently is cracking down on that and they are indicting and closing down housing authorities that do not want to follow federal rules. So do not believe that the tooth fairy that works at the housing authority it has absolution in their comments. They no longer can operate with impunity. And so I warn you guys to not take everything at such face value when dealing with the housing authority, its managers or workers. Most of those people barely even make it 2 months before there's a turnover. In other words, the housing authority has a higher turnover than McDonald's. So who exactly could understand all policies, procedures, federal code in a matter of 2 weeks, and plus all the administrative plan and everything else? It means you have a lot of people, Craigslist nuts, working there basically. So yeah, I'm just calling for what it is. I've hired directors and former caseworkers, and they worked in my office, and unimaginably many of them, their experience along with wisdom, I could have easily defeat 1,000 to 1. They don't know that much. Only the ones that last 10 or 20 years do. But there, Ralph, I asked you a question, but you missed it. That's not unsurprising. As I get older, I'm going to miss things. So help me find it. Repost it, Ralph, and I will attempt to answer it. Unless there's a reason why YouTube is not permitted it to be shown to me, and that happens sometimes. Joseph, I got to take a sip of my coffee, guys. Hope y'all don't mind. Now, I don't know if y'all got Whataburger in your state, but I got one in mine, and I like coffee with vanilla in it. And we get them from Whataburger. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. It's pretty good. Okay, doesn't have any real sugar in this. If you drink 2 of these, you'll be shaking within hours. All right, Kelly Coaching Guru, 14 years and 3/4 receiving accommodation. Well, I can tell you over 14 years, the program, Section 8 housing, its policies and rules have all changed at least 6 times since you've had that. So If you're basing your previous or original experience on present times, the system isn't even the same as what it was when you got that. Okay. That means you need to bring yourself up to date. Catalina Guru. Okay. Thank you. I'll make an appointment, call you. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, clearly, you know, there's a hand. I could probably think on a hand, one hand, how many people in the country consider and verbatim federal code policy and procedure the way I do. Okay. I'm not saying I'm a living computer, but I know it well. Brenda Parenta, thank you for the one letter or symbol that you put there. That explains a lot. Maybe you want to elaborate because the word I is not sufficient to receive an answer. I'm just messing with you, Brenda. Brenda Parenta. So, guys, what we're going to do is about 3 times a week, we're going to put some evergreen content up. How to everything section 8. I'm going to link it back to my info website. I have 2 websites, a primary website, www.section8consulting.com. And then I have a free Weebly site. That free site allows me to publish things without being a web designer. I start choking when I talk too much. But the reason I use the free website is because it's to my level. I can actually manage that. I can put out information quickly and the step-by-step guides that most of you guys require. But keep in mind, step-by-step guides and videos are complementary to any subject matter except for when you get into serious matters. And mostly you're dealing with struggles with PHAs and landlords, legal matters, and otherwise. That's where it gets complex because no video is going to meet is going to meet the whole answer. Having a time of it today. So I can only give you broad strokes in that respect. Every case is unique, and I've had a lot of different cases, probably over 20,000 at this point. And so Brendan Parent goes on to say, is there truth to be able in savings? I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure because I don't understand what you're suggesting or asking. Moving on from there, let's go to land. I've learned the hard way you must play by the rules of housing, especially with AI looking. Well, I think that AI is only a supplementary part of this right now. It will become full scale and within a couple of years. We all thought, oh well, it's okay, it's just a little AI. I've got the AI when I call the bank. It's a little bit of AI when I deal with eBay and other agencies. But you see how quickly this stuff rolled out. Then they're like, oh yeah, well, we're just going to roll out a little AI in HUD, and then it turns out they rolled it out virtually to all companies dealing with it. And then they were talking about, oh, well, it'd be 2030, right? And we'd have some AI. And turns out now what they imagined as years is turned into months. So it's I guess you could say self-fulfilling prophecy. and, and the continued rate that housing authorities continue to fail, commit fraud and other crimes is only speeding this up. And so the reckoning is somewhere in between now and 2030, obviously. You should expect your caseworkers to probably be AI. You should expect the complete review of your case and other things to be AI. But I don't mean the kind that's educational. I just mean that they're going to program all the federal rules in, and whatever it kicks out is going to be the determination. I don't use that in casework because it's good to look at a case, but it doesn't actually solve any cases because it doesn't have real world experience. It's not practicing cases. It can only pull on data and statistics that are already out there, and I can't determine what the truth is and what's not, and that's the problem with it. Karen, no, sip some water. I've tried several times. I think what it is the cats have got too much hair or pet dander in this area, and I'm choking on it. I've never told you this guys, but I'm actually allergic to cats, and I've got a bunch of them, and I'm well known for my cats, especially in my video. And one thing I struggle with is I'm quite allergic to them. It's a struggle sometimes to sleep at night. And yeah, I run 2 giant HEPA filters in the house. They're about the size of a small refrigerator, and even then, it's a problem. So I'd have to have a live-in housekeeper constantly pushing a mop across the ceiling, floors, and everything. And that's not to mention that I have a cat. I have a dog door on my back door, and so chickens can go through there. I have sent y'all photos of raccoons and possums that have walked into my house. A raccoon got all the way on my bed to look. Well, I thought if I put the cat food and water on the mattress, that would stop old raccoon. I roll over at night, and guess who I see? His little beady eyes washing his hands in the cat water on my bed. So, anybody want to snuggle up with a raccoon? That's what happens when you live in the country. We got everything out here: sheep, raccoons, wild chickens, and even a possum. I took a picture. He got in a cat food. All right, back to topic. Terrence Williams, do you offer assistance or advice through your consulting company for those who are looking to appeal wrongful loss of voucher? Yep, every day. I get probably, I don't know, 70 to 80 of those requests a year. So, yes. Though I've really gotten away from trying to put a individual service for everything that I offer. We generally try to rein that under several different issues like portability, house landlord and housing issues, which we have in our scheduling software. So I've kind of eliminated all the thousands of things that people would potentially want, and I have it lined up in our booking software. It's just four things you can pretty much book unders to make it simple. And I recommend really just short appointments to determine whether or not we're able to work together. Because a lot of that's what it comes down to. If you're going to be pleased with what I'm offering, and I think most people are. I think we got about 500 reviews. We got a few nasty ones on BBB. I've had a few people flip out and have a psychiatric moment on Better Bureau of Business, but I didn't even think that company existed anymore. But somebody got me on there. I'm okay with that. All right, so moving on there, Muscovy Lamb. What is strange is YouTube was pushing creators to go live. Now they are not. Yeah, it's changing rapidly all the time. Then they want me to make 8-minute videos. Are you kidding me? How am I going to teach anybody about anything in 8 minutes? It's really hard to do that in 8 minutes. It's I'd recommend a minimum of 12 minutes to 16 minutes. That's the average viewership of our channel per video. But he wants me to do an 8, and so it wants this high click-through rate. So that means I have to put up all these fantastic thumbnails that really don't represent reality. I got Donald Trump with a foot on a building. I have to do that to engage people that are on the spectrum almost. I didn't mean that offensively. I'm just saying that that's what I'm thinking in the back of my mind. I mean, next to me firing sparklers in the video, what do we need to do in order to get the attention of people? All right, Cheryl, how would you recommend moving to work program in California? Well, I'm not sure that program is going to be present after October. I would have to actually look into that. Okay. If it's still represented through the PHA in your specific county, there's some possibilities, but that's kind of a lengthy conversation. I don't think you're going to get a quick drive-through answer on that. Rachel, can you purchase a home on Section 8? Yes, you can. It's called HUD home ownership. Cheryl, let me take a sip because I feel another coughing session coming on. Oh, goodness. Would you recommend? Okay, so we already did that one. Can I get info about your cat rescue? I will put the linkage. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. If you guys don't mind waiting real quick. The only thing that I have running is for the 20-year-old cat. We've been trying to rescue for 3 weeks. So let me just see if I can grab it real quick. Kiki Rescue. Wow. There we go. Up on me page. And let's see. Manage. I'm looking for it. Fundraisers. Manage. And shares. Let's see. Share. That should give me a link. Here we go. Copy link. All right. Thank you for waiting for me to provide this. Here's a linkage for her. So I've only ever ran 2 GoFundMe's in my life on my channel. One was for a diamond that was thrown out of a car, and she's partially deaf and was injured pretty seriously. And then, of course, a senior cat that was dropped off at a burger shop that's likely over 20 years old and hanging on to life. And so we're running a fundraiser for her, though it's not been that successful. But I do understand these are tough times. People don't have money to burn, and I do wonder if we're going to generate anything for her. So we'll see. But when it comes to fundraising and cats, these cats are my responsibility. I certainly don't believe it's part of America's problem. Nobody has to contribute anything. I do things because I want to do them. If you guys contribute, that's up to you. Okay. All right, moving on back, Jennifer. I'm on IHSS. My husband is a caregiver. I have MS, so you have muscular dystrophy. I'm very familiar with MS, MD, and many others because of my line of work, including my dad. We are also considering low income. We want to buy a house. Is it possible? Well, to be honest with you, Jennifer, I need to ask you a lot of questions about that. So, yes, it is possible, but how you qualify is going to depend strongly on your case profile and what you currently have, what you're planning to do, and what federal rules will presently provide for you. Okay, so I'm going to need to know a lot more than that. I'd recommend, guys, if you have real questions and you feel you can benefit from an appointment privately with me, then book it. You can find it through the description in the video. Okay. Um, for those of you that plan on taking action in one regard or another regarding your case, your Section 8, dealing with the PH8, landlords, homeownership, portability, and many, many other factors, including, let's see, the housing choice vouchers, reasonable accommodations, homeownership inspections, denials, extension standards. I mean, there's approximately 200 different services really that I provide and roll up into one or two offerings through booking software, and most of which is very inexpensive. Trust me, my cats cost me more per day than I charge people to speak to them. All right, Brenda. Able savings account can't be held against you. Section 8, your portion of the rent. Well, the thing about that is, Brenda Parenta, you have income requirements limits, and I can provide the page for you, which will explain clearly under federal rules what is considered assets, what is considered income, what are reporting requirements. That's all very easily solved in about 14 pages. So I appreciate you bringing that up. If you like that information, reach out to my office. Hillbilly Herman, it's been a minute. Any odd jobs I may find that I can physically do, I will add to my total income. I do the same thing. You know, you won't ever see me drive around town in a new car with a gold Rolex. I'm just like everybody else. I sweep my own floor. I mop my own floor. I mow my own grass. I have a herd of cats I feed, a herd of chickens I feed, and then I've got a herd. I run a soup kitchen for the forest. We have possums and raccoons that come through the door. We got a batch of 30 wild chickens I feed. So I don't just rescue homeless and help people with housing. I help chickens and everybody else. It seems I'm the whole forest. Some days life can be rather regrettable. Let's go, Land. Never let my cats into my bedroom. Let me tell you something. That would last approximately 30 seconds. My cat would scream and claw at my door. Oh, if I ever pulled some shit like that, I can tell you that there would be a complete protest in the house and they would probably scratch a hole through the door. There's no privacy. Even when I'm in the shower, I've got a cat waiting on me. If I drive out the driveway, I've got a cat waiting with guilt to show me. Uh, no matter where I go. And Diamond, she tries to snap my neck at least 3 times a day. You have to walk slowly. She'll twirl, she'll do a section 8 around your legs at 3 o'clock in the morning in the dark, hoping to send me to crack my head on the floor. This is every day. So not only do I run a soup kitchen, but I mean, I have to keep full membership to an ER because I never know when Diamond's going to twirl between my legs and knock every tooth out my head while I smash my head on the tub or the floor. That's not to mention the twirl around going when she rolls me down the stairs. There's no future of me ever growing old because they're going to find me one day, roll down the damn stairs in front of my truck, dead. With Diamond probably sleeping on my back. That's life. If I don't have that, then they boo boo, put a wet boo boo in your flip flop. That way, when you get up in the morning, you're not thinking, you haven't had coffee. Next thing you know, you're doing a fucking banana split. And then you end up with 16 different injuries, bruised ribs. And then you got to smell boo boo on your foot because you can't even get to the shower. Why? Because you've already racked every muscle from your asshole up to your skull. This is everyday life. So let's talk about hardship, right? I'm sorry if those words offend, but shit, man. Look, we live in the real world. You think my cat's scared what happens? Just like the chickens, they don't give a shit, man. They come if you don't feed them, they'll crow you till you get out of bed. So just to be clear, there's no closing of the door. We don't have privacy. In fact, Diamond there also, where you're in the bathroom, she will lay in your clothes around your ankles, right? And then I got Pops. He'll hop on the bathroom sink and then start walking on my shoulder. Oh, well, I'm in there trying to attempt number one or two, right? How are you supposed to do that when you're considered a circus trick to your own cats? They're in your hair, on your shoulders, sleeping in your drawers on the floor, and you're trying to do one and two. Okay, so there now we're clear about that. Moving on back. Let's get back serious. We want to answer questions, right? Not talk about all my interpersonal issues. It's very hard on YouTube not to. Jennifer, I'll be setting up a phone call with you soon. I look forward to it. I'll try to remember to have a little decorum if I don't have a cat in my hair. Cali coaching guru. I feel like I have so many needs and questions. I need to take you to lunch. I'll take you up on that offer. Anybody makes it through Texas, you give me a ring, we'll go to lunch. If I pass through your state, remember I'm supposed to take an RV through California, go do a little gold prospecting. For some reason, I don't feel like that's ever going to happen. You know, I called a few hotels. They said, no, we're not taking no cats up in here, especially as many of you got. So I got to cram them all in the trailer and hope they act properly, not pee and boo boo everywhere in the trailer. They're all going to cooperate and be good little Christian cats, right? That ain't never going to happen. By the time I'd make it 1,000 miles of cats, will have already shredded every fucking curtain in the trailer, peed on the mattress, boo boo on the floor. It'd be looking like I live in a gas station bathroom. So I digress. That's what life's about. Miss Yolanda, they love your papa. Oh, they do. They do love me. Carnos, laughing out loud. Infinite possibilities. Yes, sir. Cats rule. They certainly do. Brenda Prenta, thank you, Jay. Love the kikis. Well, thank you very much. Cheryl, is there any benefit in renting a lower price property versus one higher end limit on Section 8? Well, to be honest with you, when you look at payment standards, wherein you're paying 30% of your income versus 70% subsidy, provided you are in the income range of extreme low income to moderate income, I would say that there is one singular benefit for going after more expensive properties, and it's not because it makes you feel better. It A lot of low income properties end up being in pretty terrible areas, and so for those of you that can afford a little more, would afford you a lot more normalcy, and with normalcy comes less stress and suffering. Okay, uh, the country has not been very mindful of people and being on vouchers, and it often congregates in really bad neighborhoods for one reason or another. And also, the lower you go, you get into these investment gurus that deal in properties, and they're trying to rent properties that resemble more of a county jail in a really bad, terrifying neighborhood. So the higher the payment standard, the higher it's going to offer you performance in life, which means a sense of normalcy and to live life. These issues can be confounded. For many of you that utilize housing and the system itself, the last thing you need on top of not having a lot of money and a lot of hope is more shit to deal with in a tough neighborhood, right? In a house where everything's broken and the landlord's a scumbag. So the most simplest and obvious answer here is the higher the payment standard, the easier you're able to exit living in a camp, to be honest with you. But remember, it's going to raise your 30% responsibility. But is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth saving yourself the additional stress you don't need on your plate. Many of you guys are already on the verge. You know, I'm surprised more people that are on housing and accept subsidies haven't pulled the gun out their purse or what and just completely lost grip of reality because it's so tough. Circumstances are tough, and then you add that with the hyperinflation and an economy where everything's nuts. The pricing for everything, is pushing people to the limits. See, but impossibility, Jay, or you are hilarious. I have my days, and it's quite appropriate for some that enjoy it, and it's quite inappropriate for others. So I try to keep an even mix of professionalism and just acting like a nut in my own videos. But it's hard to rein that in. You know, I've always enjoyed being genuine as a person, and YouTube tries to suck that out of you. I don't want to be Barbara Walters on my own channel. I like to deliver highly efficient, highly experienced information regarding federal programs, but it's hard to do that when YouTube wants me to be, neutral in my color tones and attitude and personality. I struggle with that deeply. I think we can deliver I think we can deliver the message to anybody, whether you're from the trailer park, the hood, or Fifth Avenue, and I think it's quite appropriate. I don't like bland videos, anyways, right? Kelly, Coach Guru, you don't necessarily foster cats. I need help with temporary fostering for my cat from Cali. Looking forward to Texas, but my uncle's ID stayed with us. Also allergic, gave me hard no, and can help with the funds. I understand. Well, I'm sure I can work with you. We can figure out a solution. I'm not suggesting I can fix all solutions, but at least the ones that are the greatest concern to you. I'm sure there's an easier way to navigate it when you've dealt with tens of thousands of cases, as I have. Um, Miss Yolanda, I'm in Florida, and my question is: are there people that receive mental health services and take psychological medications in danger of losing their continuum of care permit supportive housing? As of present, Florida is not affected by the policies that have been implemented throughout the Los Angeles area in California. But there's going to be some peril with that. Continuum of care, including, and I want to say including permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, and the emergency housing voucher, remain a contentious battle by both the administration and HUD, which means they're going to continue to fight to dissolve those programs all the way till the end. The end will be during election season 2028. So, in other words, until another president takes office, has a different view of these programs, that's going to be up to the chopping block at any time. Right now, it's currently being battled in court again. It's changed virtually every couple of weeks. There are some victories on both sides. So, you're not safe until probably we have a different administration. And it doesn't mean the next one's going to be agreeable on this issue either. Okay. But I can tell you this administration's had a larger focus on the programs at the federal level than any other combined. So I think anything at this point would be a change or a reprieve, for better or worse, whether people like or dislike anybody, right? Karen knows. You ain't kidding about that, Jay. Well, thank you. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee before I choke in my own pity. Nobody wants to see a fat person choked to death. Miss Yolanda, yes, we enjoy lives and you're easy on the eyes as well. Well, thank you very much. Just so you know, it's not proper to fool with us old Cajuns from Louisiana. We're a different mixed breed out there, especially those of us that was raised in a trailer park. All right, you've seen them in the movies. All those bad children in the trailer park, white man's hood. But thank you for the compliment. I won't shoot that down, especially now that I'm in my 50s. Bishalanda, yes, we will enjoy lives, Jerry's and Oz. Muskogee Land, Homestead, your property, let's see, homestead your property and do a YouTube show about life with the cats. You know, I've thought about that honestly, but that would be rather contentious because it would probably reveal more of me than I'm willing to show on YouTube, right? It's, and I do post a lot of videos, when you don't have children of your own and you have pets, it plays a major role. That's why I let them get away with all this shit, okay? And I do genuinely care. So, I mean, clearly I have some type of mental illness that makes me feel sad for any animal that's hurt, abused, or even abandoned. Okay. It almost exceeds the mental threshold for wanting to help. I'm affected by this. So, the software that was installed at me at birth makes me this way. I don't know why. My mother was a sob with that too. And it gets worse the older I get. So I'm trying very hard not to be the old bag lady with 94 cats. Okay. dying with urine in the carpet, can't breathe. I'm trying so hard not to be the bag lady. It's hard. I might have to seek therapy for this. Right now, I only have 4 cats. We're going to keep it that way, many of which are very old. Miss Yolanda, thank you for answering my question. You're most welcome. And Cali Guru, thank you for these flashy emojis. Well, guys, I think I wrapped it up. I think we've enjoyed a little bit of personal commentary as well as answering of questions. Now is your last opportunity if you'd like to discuss meaningful issues regarding Section 8 programs, policy, procedure, code of federal regulation, or any one of 300 baseline topics that are related to PHAs and other codes, acts, and regulations. I am a walking library with more than 2,000 videos, 26 years at the federal level, and I have a very contentious personality, which often rears itself in my own videos. I leave decorum, I chuck it out the door, and you always get a little spicy splash of me in my videos. So that's how it goes. When you own the channel, you can be as nuts as you want, right? Other than that, if you're looking for information regarding the company and you need a serious material assistance with housing, navigating the system, or dealing any other federal issue, you can go in the description or in the comments. You'll find a link to my primary website, the information info website. You'll find that my company has over 500 reviews. We got 4 or 5 terrible, nasty, ugly reviews on BBB from a few disgruntled people. That's okay. If I can serve 20,000 people and I've only got 4 or 5 people that want to bitch and moan, then I would say my career and success has been largely a wild success. And I don't live and breathe reviews. In fact, a lot of people leave reviews on our company website and they always ask me, well, what would you like me to say? I'd like you to tell the truth, you know? So let that be said, right? All right, let me address the last few of you guys, and I look forward to any of you that have booked with our office and helping you solve your everyday issues. Looking forward to the evergreen content we're going to be coming up with. Some Barbara Walter pre-recorded videos, right? And so, imminent possibilities. Have a great day, Jay. Miss Yolanda, suggestion on the cat name, Mandu. I like that. And take care. All right, guys, you enjoy your day. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to cover some portability. I'm going to show you how to take on less to mitigate your risk through the process of portability and not make common mistakes. Remember when we discussed this, portability comes down to 2 simple factors beyond the rules. And that is whether you're going to take the short road or the long one. You're going to learn the hard way or the easy way. The video represents the easy way. Or you can Google and AI the shit out of this and then see what the result will be for yourself. Okay. I advise taking my advice. It's well practiced. All right. Have a great day for now. Bye.